Welcome back to One Nation Weather, where I also cover the tropics. We go beyond the United States right here, but in this update, we're going to be covering mainly the United States as we've got a lot of activity on the jet stream, and it's got some good headlines to go with it here for our July 1st, 2024 weather update. Let's get right into the straightforward forecast as there's an active 4th of July week ahead for millions of Americans. I'm going to be tracking out the severe weather and flooding potential for that, especially for the next 5 to 7 days. I'll also be talking about the heat for some, whereas it is mild for others in the temperature update. Plus, we're tracking major hurricane Beryl. By the way, if you want more updates just like this one in the future, and you enjoy this one especially, make sure you're hitting that subscribe button, turning on those notifications so you never miss a future update. Let me know in the comments below where you're watching from, and check out the WeatherBell trial in the description for maps just like this one. We've already gone past our Monday here, at least in terms of the future radar, because it is Monday evening as I film this. Going into our Tuesday, July 2nd of 2024, some storms that have been carrying out of some parts of the north central plains on our Monday will continue eastward, especially along this boundary here, especially refiring up, by the way, into the afternoon hours. These aren't going to all necessarily be left over from the night before. We will be watching some new development from Wisconsin all the way back down there towards the northern panhandle of Oklahoma, as well as the northern areas there of the panhandle of Texas. Even eastern Colorado, watching some of these showers and storms. And again, I'll show you exactly where you can expect some of the most severe weather out of that in just a second. But focus on the Iowa-Missouri border. I think that's going to be where we're going to be having some of the worst storms Tuesday. That front continues east with a low-pressure system that's sitting way on up there into Canada as we go towards our Wednesday. Notice a lot of the showers and storms from places like Buffalo, New York, and Erie, PA, all the way on down there towards places like, the Ohio River Valley region, southern Missouri, and then curling on up into a new area where we'll have some low pressure exiting the Rockies there in South Dakota, parts of Nebraska, as well as into Kansas. So a little bit of an extended boundary here that actually curls back up and meets with that new low pressure system. Definitely a very active part of the week for the nation's midsection, and really things aren't going to change much in terms of the activity as we go towards our Thursday, July 4th. I'm going to pause here, and then I'm going to pause as we go into the nighttime hours as well, so you can see not only your daytime forecast but also your fireworks forecast for our July 4th. If you got plans out there through the daytime and into the afternoon and evening, it's looking like after the lunchtime hour, that's when we'll see a lot of storms fire on up from Kansas and Oklahoma, especially through Missouri and all the way on over there towards the mid-Atlantic region of the United States. Areas being excluded from some of that precipitation look to be in the southeast as well as the far southern and western United States, but we're not going to be excluded on up here in parts of the Dakotas and Minnesota as well as Iowa. It's looking like a new low will be making its way on up into some of these areas. Could overlap with some of that precip in Missouri to get a severe threat going there. Definitely not what you want to see on a holiday here for everybody, right? As we go Thursday night into our Friday, July 5th, this is where storms, according to at least this model, things can change, look to continue. You see there from the Dakotas all the way on over here in some pockets of Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, Illinois, Missouri. You see some storms down there towards Arkansas and Tennessee, as well as Indiana and Ohio. Again, it's very uncertain exactly where these storms are going to be. They could be a little bit displaced, especially considering the fact that this model is a longer range piece of guidance trying to pinpoint exact lines of showers and storms. What I can tell you, though, is that if you live on some of those areas further east, some of those storms will be pop-ups for the afternoon that will hopefully be gone in places like New York City and Washington, D.C. by the time fireworks and all those displays will be going on in the evening on our Thursday. Now, as we go into our Friday, there's definitely a pronounced front for afternoon showers and storms from Indiana down to Mississippi, points eastward, some storms getting going there. As we head into the upcoming weekend as well, we'll be watching storms from the northeastern United States all the way back down to places like Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi. I think even as we go beyond the 2 p.m. time frame that I'm showing you here, that's when we'll see some of the stronger storms fire on up there, maybe in places like the Carolinas, Georgia, surrounding spots. And as we get closer to that, of course, you'll see me with a new video to help pinpoint using my ONW severe scale or my severe zones graphics, where you can anticipate the severe weather. Now we're looking 15 to 20,000 feet on up there in the atmosphere using the European model here and its mid-level jet stream map. What you can see here in these greens, yellows, and oranges, I was pointing them out at the start of the video, is there's that active jet stream up here. From Nebraska into Minnesota and Iowa, we've got a piece of energy on our Tuesday, July 2nd. This is what's helping to fuel that near-term Tuesday threat for severe weather that's going to be particularly prominent coming out of Nebraska and Kansas into Iowa and Missouri. Now, as we go towards Wednesday, this is when we've got the extended threat here It's going to go especially favored because of this energy that's in the Great Lakes, some parts of the Midwest, really from the Ohio Valley into an area I think that could be a little bit more potent for some severe storms in southern Indiana, southern Illinois, and southern Missouri, as well as back on up there where there's another trough coming out into parts of the Dakotas, western Nebraska, as well as into Kansas. Again, I'll show you some of the exact locations for severe weather here in just a second using my ONW severe scale, custom severe graphics you'll only find right here on this channel. Now, as we go towards Friday, July 5th, look at this. Going out of our Thursday, July 4th into July 5th, again, I think the strongest threat for severe storms coming out of Iowa will also be in Missouri, as well as going into Illinois and Indiana surrounding spots, because we've got that jet stream moving in, we've got the energy along it, and especially southeast of it, that's where some of the strongest storms could be. So even, Kentucky, Tennessee, Arkansas, surrounding areas there too, we'll need to be watching some of those storms because they could be feisty heading into the afternoon and evening, and you definitely don't want to play with nature's fireworks because that could certainly ruin your whole family's day if you're getting with them on July 4th. Now let's go and take a look at this. For our Tuesday, July 2nd of 2024. This is my ONW severe scale. If you're in that dark green color, that's when you really start getting into the potential for good chance of isolated severe weather. Yellow means scattered severe weather, and then the 4 of 7 risk on my scale that goes from 0 to 7, right there near Iowa-Missouri border. That is where I anticipate some of the most potent severe weather for the day, as a localized severe weather corridor is likely Tuesday from Colorado to Wisconsin. Afternoon and evening storms capable of damaging winds and hail appear to be the main threats for all spots, with locally more elevated coverage and intensity possible in lines near the Iowa and Missouri border. There will be some moisture, there will be some low-level jet energy, so especially in those yellow and orange areas, watch out for that isolated to even maybe scattered weak tornado threat. There could even be a brief, more potent tornado in the mix as well. Then as we go towards Wednesday, an advancing front and some energy exiting the Rockies will fuel risk areas associated with locally higher chances for severe storms. Both looks to be based on wind and hail, with coverage scattered near the Ohio Valley and Midwest, what you see there from Missouri to Ohio. We'll see some clusters of damaging winds, hail, and maybe isolated tornadoes there. And then also the same kind of potential, but possibly even a little bit more potent there coming out of South Dakota and into Nebraska. This is a little bit different. This is my ONW severe zones graphic. If you're in the yellow color on screen, this is where I think the highest chance on July 4th is for at least, at the minimum, some isolated severe weather. If you were with me just a little bit earlier when I was showing some of the showers and storms, you know where there will at least be some showers and storms around. This is where the best chance for a focus of severe weather will be on Thursday. Then as we go towards Friday, from Michigan and parts of far western New York down there towards Tennessee, that's where it's looking like that corridor along a front, a new front at that, will be bringing some isolated severe weather, and that would equate to that level 2 of 7 in the yellow shades there for Thursday and Friday on my ONW severe scale. So that's it with the severe weather. That's it with the precipitation talk, except for the fact that we still need to talk about the totals of rain and precipitation that we're actually going to get adding up out of this week. Here we go, just through our Wednesday, July 3rd into the early morning. So this accounts for most of Tuesday afternoon and evening showers and thunderstorms. Notice from eastern Nebraska into pretty much all of Iowa, some parts of southeast Minnesota, Wisconsin, as well as on down there into northern Missouri, we will have some 2 to 4 inch totals in those areas I circled, at least in isolated fashion. So be ready for one of the most potent days of some flooding for this week, where there could definitely be some flooded roadways, creeks coming out of their banks. We could even see a level 3 of 4 flood risk try to get issued there. Notice in this area I circled the flood risk shifts a little bit southward, but also some westward spots getting in on that new precipitation in South Dakota, Nebraska, late Wednesday heading into early Thursday. We'll be watching some of those totals because some of those isolated thunderstorms can dump a quick inch or 2. Here we go towards Friday into the afternoon and evening. So this accounts for Thursday and Friday's precipitation added on top of everything else from this week so far. It certainly looks like a lot of that heaviest rain is going to continue to add up in the far north central plains, into the upper Midwest, as well as other areas of the Midwest and Ohio Valley. So if you live in any color beyond the blues especially, be prepared for the heaviest rain and the best chance for some isolated to even scattered bouts of flooding out of these storms. For now, though, I'm done yapping about the storms. Let's yap some about the temperatures from Tuesday all the way to our Saturday. Now, what we're looking at here is Tuesday, July 2nd, 2024. Right after I film this video, into the morning here on our Tuesday, this is what low temperatures are expected to be according to the National Digital Forecast Database. Wisconsin, Michigan, Illinois, and Indiana, all the way over there to Maine, we've got some lows in the 50s, getting in the mix, especially from eastern Illinois to the northeast of that area there. Some 50s, very refreshing, lower dew points, lower humidity here in a lot of the east as we've got a front that's just moved through. But look at this down here from Nebraska and Iowa down there to Texas, as well as Louisiana. Anytime you see a circle there in the morning lows, that is a record warm morning low, meaning that it has never been that warm at the start of the day since records have been kept. We will have some record highs possible in those boxes in parts of Texas and Oklahoma. We'll have some triple-digit heat on Tuesday. Back there, we'll have some very dry and intense heat in parts of California, surrounding spots that will only get worse as the week goes on. Also, where I circled here in the Ohio Valley and Mid-Atlantic, very hot, but seasonably hot for Tuesday. A little bit cooler with 70s on up there in the north central plains Tuesday afternoon there. Now, as we go towards Wednesday morning, again, you really see where fronts are lining up. You can see where we've got the 70s for morning lows. And again, even if I don't mention your exact location, you can definitely see the numbers in the key on screen. Near 80 down there in those spots I just circled that have those record warm lows for our Wednesday morning. As we go towards Wednesday afternoon, here's that corridor for severe weather, or at least the most prominent area of it anyway. Definitely lots of 80s and 90s to go around throughout it, I should say. So we've definitely got plenty of at least instability in the atmosphere there. Look at that, the valleys of California nearing 110 plus Wednesday afternoon. Will also be very hot to start the day. Not much relief out there. Please make sure if you're in some of these hottest spots, even in the morning here where temperatures will wake up to near 80, from the Ohio Valley back down there to the south central U.S. on Thursday. You're drinking plenty of water if you have to get outdoors, because anytime there's prolonged heat that lasts into the night, it really takes a toll on your body, even if you don't realize it right away. Mid-Atlantic, Southeast, South Central, as well as Southwest even on Thursday. All these corridors of the United States, the hottest. But we'll also have some of this cooler air that I can't ignore coming out of Montana and Wyoming, all the way on over here, even to some degree, towards parts of New York and Pennsylvania, 70s and 80s. So that's something to, at least note and enjoy up there. It's actually been a pretty cool summer for some of our north central spots, whereas we're breaking those records in those spots I just checked in California. In fact, we'll be breaking the record warm lows there Friday morning. We'll be breaking them over here as well in the southeastern quadrant of the U.S. So you can really see where our heat is lingering around. There's Friday's highest temperatures. South of this line, that's where we're going to have a lot of the 90s as I draw it out here. But remember, as we go towards Friday, our severe weather threats most likely from Michigan down to Tennessee. There's the actual front that's fueling that, with the 70s behind it, where we've got the 80s and 90s, out ahead of it. Into Saturday, last day I want to talk about temperatures with. Look what's behind that front. A lot of refreshing 50s, lower humidity for the north central U.S. It's been, again, not too bad of a summer, at least in terms of temperatures, but the precip's been very heavy up there. Meanwhile, down here in the southeast U.S., breaking those record warm lows with upper 70s, low 80s into our Saturday morning. And then as we go towards Saturday afternoon, more 70s up here from Minnesota into Wisconsin, as well as the Michigan and Indiana area there, as I can spit out my words finally, and then down here in the southeast, the south central, the southwest. These are the spots that will continue to be near record heat and beyond. In fact, it looks like the record heat will continue to build in California, Nevada, Idaho, Oregon, as well as Washington here as we head down the 6 to 10 day range. So from July 7th through the 11th, that's where the heat is looking to be there, according to the Climate Prediction Center. Very hot here in the east, but look at this. You got that corridor where we could see some fronts moving through the central United States, and that's where it could stay close to average, but that will keep things active there and eastward as well. Now let's shift gears to tropics with the 7-day tropical outlook as of our 5 p.m. advisory on Hurricane Beryl. This is the one that came with it here for July 1st, 2024. You can see Hurricane Beryl there. Gave the hit to the Windward Islands earlier today. We'll talk a little bit more about that here in just a second. Behind it, we've actually got a lowering chance of development with Invest 96L, but still a 50-50 shot over the next 7 days as it approaches those same areas for this thing to try and form a tropical depression or storm. You can also see what is left of the randomly formed tropical storm Chris, now post-tropical, moving into Mexico. Now, here's that view of what just slammed earlier today. The Windward Islands there in the far eastern Caribbean. My thoughts, people here all through the Caribbean are giving thoughts and prayers your way, as well as into America as well. Across the world, people have seen the news of this storm. Hope everybody's doing okay there, and especially Grenada, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Barbados, where the hardest hit from this now 150-mile-per-hour Cat 4 was taken. The infrared images continue to be more concerning. Thankfully, as it's passed the islands, it wasn't quite even this strong necessarily as it hit those islands earlier today. Regardless, very intense destruction and damage likely there, and some of the pictures already starting to come in are definitely not going to be looking very good here this evening. As you can see, see we're going to continue, according to the Hurricane Center, as we go towards 2 p.m. on our Tuesday, to see a 145 mile per hour Category 4 near Category 5 strength, with especially those gusts persisting and moving west-northwest at a pretty good clip here. It'll be about due south of the DR there, the Dominican Republic, around the middle of our Tuesday afternoon. All these areas here from southern Haiti and southern Dominican Republic over there to Puerto Rico will feel the effects of some outer bands. Wouldn't be surprised if we get some very gusty winds near tropical storm force there in Puerto Rico out of this. But we actually have tropical storm warnings out for the southern shores of Haiti and the DR, thanks to this storm, because that is an area where we will have the track come close enough to where even though you're not in the cone, some of those outer bands lash through. Looking at a 125 mile per hour Cat 3, that's what I just underlined by the time we come out of our Tuesday, heading towards early Wednesday. The Hurricane Center, the models all agreeing that this will face some less conducive conditions in the Western Caribbean, where it will probably drop down to a low-end Cat 3 or Cat 2 by the time it's making its way past Haiti and approaching Jamaica here. But what I want to point out here with Jamaica is that while you're on that northern edge of the cone, as it tracks along this line or somewhere near it, one, it can wobble north, but two, even if it stays on this line right there, that's that semicircle of hurricane force winds that would likely be emanating outward from this expanding system. Certainly be prepared. We've already got hurricane watches up as of this video in Jamaica. I'm sure those will be upgraded to hurricane warnings, assuming this track continues to look like it is right now, and the models have good agreement that it will. By the time we go towards the end of our July 4th here on our Thursday, this thing looking like it will actually be closer to the Yucatan than initially expected by the Hurricane Center. Probably landfalling as a Cat 1 hurricane based on current projections, downgrading to a tropical storm while moving over the land there. This isn't necessarily the most gnarly terrain that Mexico has to offer there, so it might maintain some of those tropical storm force winds as I just circled while moving over the Yucatan. And it could still be some sort of disorganized, very messy, and possibly large tropical storm, sending impacts as far north as southern Texas as early as into Saturday. It could make a landfall there in southern Texas, but right now it looks like Mexico will see the brunt of any leftover tropical storm impacts down the line. I'll keep you updated on that, plus everything else here, right here at One Nation Weather. Again, welcome into this latest video. Thank you so much for watching. I cover the USA weather forecasts as well as tropical weather updates, so make sure you're subscribing down below, turning on those notifications so you never miss one. Have a great day, everyone. I'll see you back here Tuesday or Wednesday.
One Nation Weather.